When an academic institution removes from its epistemic pool the stories of those whom it marginalizes, epistemic academic injustice occurs. If voices are going to be displaced, if information is going to be displaced or distorted, my hope is that that will not occur in a university. When I view academic epistemic injustice through Caroline Levine's forms, it is a system of oppression perpetuated by the elite and the most powerful in an academic institution, where the marginalized and oppressed don't have voices. These are the people whose stories are deleted. This is Ann Milner. She was the president of Weber State University when I was denied the diploma I duly earned, when my migrant status to be in the United States as a student was put in jeopardy. It's my story. All university student stories are heard. They remain in the archives. So will mine. I'm wondering what it means to be Ann Milner when an African student stands in front of your administration building and their student files have allegedly been destroyed by a computer and the story of that whole event has been erased. I wonder how it feels to be Ann Milner, to know that a Black woman's life was destroyed under your watch. Weber State University interfered with my freedom to speak when they deleted my story in their archives. The university is a government entity, and it is bound by the U.S. Constitution, which clearly says the First Amendment to the United States Constitution prevents the government from making laws that abridge the freedom of speech. Did you eat my story, wild cat? Weber State University is a government entity. In this slide, you see sample stories that the university deleted. At the time of these events, I was a migrant student. I am a Black immigrant, and my story should not be deleted. Not by a government entity, for hell's sake. It is as though their First Amendment rights have been abridged. And that's not what a good institute of higher learning does, or any institute for that matter. A good school acknowledges the voices from everyone on that campus, everybody like I listed at the onset. The story that you see covered here in pictures occurred at Weber State University. And the university newspaper, The Signpost, has deleted the story from its archives. And my question is, if they told the truth in the courts and elsewhere, why delete the story? Why? I will never forget this moment in my life. I remember the sleepless nights, the nightmares in a foreign country. I remember learning the word motion for the first time. And I had seen motion to mean a stool or poop, but I had never known it to mean a legal document. But I taught myself that. In this picture, I was going to Washington, D.C. for a protest. Utah Mark Shirtliff had been defending Weber State University in court, and they saw nothing wrong with issuing me a misdated diploma. They said I had graduated and the university was under no obligation to correct my student records.
My name is Victoria Situnia. I flew into DC about 2 days ago because my future is being damaged in the hands of the bureaucrats in the state of Utah. I attended school at Weber State University, went to all of the classes, met all of the requirements, but the university won't issue my diploma.
And epistemic justice, on the other hand, acknowledges the diversity of voices on a university campus, and it seeks to uplift all of them. It doesn't delete the stories of those the university harmed. No, it doesn't. Reverend Strong, in peace and power and dignity you rest. I remember reading that you marched with Dr. King at the Workers' Rights March. And I came to witness you continuing that march alongside the marginalized migrant peoples like me. And I came to realize that a white minister can fight white supremacy. Weber State University claimed they hadn't done anything wrong. They were believed, and I don't understand why they are deleting this story. For me, this story marks a period in my life where I experienced so much trauma in a foreign country. So much. And that story should be told and heard. I thank many of my white friends who continued to listen to my story and join my protests years after the harm had occurred on the grounds of Weber State University in Ogden, Utah. I thank you all so very much. At the time I went to Weber State University, the standard examiner was due roughly 60 degrees northwest of the university. They too deleted the story. I was both disappointed and saddened when the U.S. Supreme Court clerk Sutter, Sutter, sent me a letter saying that I filed my motion outside time. I had sent my paperwork on time. The post office returned it, and it was stamped multiple times. Return to the center. No, return to the center. Epistemic injustice means someone is literally stuffing balls in your mouth. How is that not a violation of the First Amendment right to have the freedom to speak? How is it not? Here, CCU found nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with issuing a Black woman a misdated diploma. In this document here, you see where I filed a writ of certiorari with the U.S. Supreme Court, and that was an interesting story there because the package that I sent to the U.S. Supreme Court was sent with numerous stamps on it, and it said return to the sender. When the Weber State University glitch, quote unquote, damaged my student files, it also damaged my immigration status and therefore that of my dependent children's status. All of the horrors that I thought I had left behind became anew. My ex was raping me all over again, threatening me at gunpoint. The military vehicle. To all of you fathers out there who care about your daughters, if I were your daughter, what would you say to me? I was taking care of my father in hospice, and because he had battled alongside me through this Weber State ordeal, I thought I should ask the then Weber State University President Charles White to release the diploma so my father would see it before he passed. Charles White refused. And to the rest of you, the question I have is this the kind of a world you want to create? Where the stories of black women are deleted? Where the stories of black migrant women are deleted? Where the stories of those marginalized and harmed by the government institutions are deleted? Is this the kind of a world you want to leave behind? A university is where we learn about different cultures, different communities, past and present, and perhaps make predictions about the communities in the future. My story belongs to the body of that knowledge, and Weber State University should put it in the archives and make it accessible to the world, just like the other story. So, ultimately, what a place to begin. I received a letter from the US Department of Education, and they said they were responding to President Obama's request. And at the end of their conversations with Weber State University, we were back to square one. The university was still refusing to release my valid diploma. In a meeting with former WSU President Charles White, I promised to protest at every graduation if they did not release my diploma properly dated. And White said, he said, another reason why my diploma was post-dated was that my tuition was paid after graduation. And I told him that was not a valid reason. When you go to your doctor's office, the doctor does not postmark your visit to the date when you pay your bill, right? White said there had been an intra-departmental delay of my records that contributed to the misdating of my diploma. And I said, I've got nothing to do with that. I don't carry the burdens of the university departments. I didn't, rather. Throughout the entire glitch battle with the university, right from when Milner was president, my father was always there for me and with me when he could. I asked Charles White if he would release the diploma before my father passed so he would see it. The diploma was not released and my father passed. So White said, if you sign this document, I'll release the diploma. And I said, I'm not signing anything. This is ridiculous. And I mean, as a scientist, I'm sure he knew that. I'm hoping he did. I said, no student has had to sign anything for their diploma to be released. Nobody signs anything. So why was I being treated differently? Anyway, he released my diploma and, at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City, Summer Smith and Joanna Strong tabled this petition to have the community members there sign ahead of the protest that I was going to stage during graduation that year, and of course in the following ones. My story that disappeared at Weber State University is the story of harm caused by the people at Weber State University at the time of these events. Most of them were white. So I'm appealing to all of you to ask them to unmask my story. Thank you. I was shocked when I found out that even my story in the Ogden Standard Examiner was missing. And there it occurred to me that perhaps this story is bigger than Weber State University. It is the story of making Black women, Black migrants, disappear. Am I right in this thinking? And if I am wrong in that thinking, and delete my story, and delete it. Everyone's story should be heard. It should. I thank the Utah Salt Lake Tribune for giving this Black migrant woman a voice. My stories still remain alive in your archives, and they are there for the world to learn and grow. Thank you for being a part of a community that wants to do better. You told your story in the courts and you won. I told my story in the courts as well, and also in the university signpost, and you deleted the story. Why? That is not the way to erase injustice. I will continue to tell my story. This book is a story of my court filings and the battle with Weber State University College. A university newspaper is a platform for all students, and it should be accessible to all of them equally. It is bad when a student newspaper targets certain stories and deletes them. But it's worse when that university is a government entity. Creating equal access to university newspapers is epistemic justice. Allowing all students' stories to be heard is epistemic justice. Deleting some students' stories and not the others? Quite the contrary. On that campus. And removing any bit of that information by implication means but that institution has removed a member of its community from the knowledge pool. And that is epistemic injustice. I am borrowing. This was a terrifying point in my life. I thank all of you for showing up at the immigration court hearing. I don't remember a moment in time other than when my ex threatened me at gunpoint and when the military came, of course. I don't remember any other time that has been as equally frightening. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. The story of my protest against Weber State University is a story that needs to be heard. It was a story about exercising my First Amendment rights in a government institution. That story will continue to be heard, and I thank everyone who has continued to share. The professors themselves, even the students, because all of this body of knowledge is a critical input, a necessary input that gives voice to everyone on that campus. And removing any bit of that information by implication. A glitch removed you from the student database and also from the US Immigration Service, which was an INS record at the time. They didn't understand why I called it rape. For me, this way of having my status forcibly taken away from me mysteriously was the same as how I had encountered rape in real life. And in the type of a rape I am talking about is when a person forces themselves on the other without permission. And this was the same type of force that I was feeling from Weber State University, of having them impose on me a defective diploma, having them strip me of my legal status under the masquerade of a glitch. And should there arise a condition that necessitates a deletion of a story, that must occur in collaboration with the parties concerned. And what do I mean by that? If my story has been deleted, my university is not going to delete my story without first consulting with all those who have the power to speak on my behalf.